Hello, my name is Anastasia Lindsay, and my presentation I am doing a film analysis over Christopher Columbus, the Discovery, and 1942, the Conquest of Paradise. So to begin, I just wanted to do a little preview of what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to analyze between the two how each film did or did not live up to the claims of historical truthfulness. Two of the themes of accuracy that I am going to talk about is oral and visual. So to continue, I'm going to start with visual accuracy. Visual accuracy for the Discovery. Some things that I noticed were costumes, setting, scenery, and props such as the ships. Um, the costumes, setting, scenery, and the props, they all seemed pretty accurate to me. The costumes that the characters were wearing were very appropriate for the time period, that being the 1400s. The setting and the scenery stood out to me because it actually looked like it was real. And if I didn't know any better, I would have actually felt like I was there. Um, the most oral accurate piece to me were the props, mainly because of the ships. I say that because the ships that were used in the film were in tune with the ones that Christopher Columbus actually used. Um, the three boats that he rode were Nina, Pinata, and Santa Maria. Those were depicted very accurate in the film, and I liked how the filmmaker um, included the names of the ships, and that was very accurate to me. As far as the conquest visually, the costumes as well, setting, the use of animals, and small details, um, like the blistered skin of those that were working on the boat. Even though I don't think this film did as great of a job visually as The Discovery, there were still a few accurate things that I did see. Overall, I think the costumes that the characters were wearing, they seemed pretty accurate to me, on an average state, that being. The setting was mediocre. I noticed a few discrepancies, but however, it did look pretty nice. Not as good as the Discovery, but I do agree that the setting was very nice. Things like the buildings seemed to be depicted well. It wasn't terrible, but there was little things here and there. I like the use of animals. It just something about using animals into a film makes it seem a little bit more real for the audience. Um, I think they did a really good job of showing the small detail, as I stated earlier about the blistered skin on those who spent long days working on the boat. So, moving on to oral accuracy of both films, the Discovery, the accents and the pronunciation both were not very accurate to me. The Conquest, the accents and the pronunciation also were not very accurate, but the native language and the narration were something, two of the things that really stood out to me as being accurate in the Conquest. So, to go back to the Discovery, this film did not do very well orally. There were a lot of discrepancies. First off, Christopher and his son did not talk the same, or with the same accents, I should say. Throughout the film, it was really hard to tell what was correct and what wasn't, or who was speaking in the right accent and who wasn't, who actually had the right accents. Was it the English accents? Were people talking in British accents? It was really confusing for me. So I did the best that I could, um, deciphering between right and wrong, but I feel as though the audience should not have to question what's right and what's wrong and why are they talking differently, should it be talking this way. So that's one of the things that I think the Discovery struggled with. As far as the Conquest, I think just like the Discovery, this film failed at being accurate orally. Whereas in the first film, it was a little harder for me to tell This film made it very sure that the accents were not accurate. It did not sound right to me at all. The only positive thing I would say that this film did good was the foreign language of the natives and the narration was being used. Like I said in previous discussion posts, I love films that have narration. It adds a certain life to films. It leads the audience and it guides the audience, which makes it a lot easier for the audience to watch the film. And I think providing narration like The Conquest did, it leaves the audience without questions, without having to ask questions. And then I just have an example. I tried to find movie clips so that I could provide more examples, but I did find one. It was the 1942 The Conquest of Paradise clip um, where they discovered land. And Christopher Columbus is jumping out of the boat into the water. And as I was watching that scene, it just didn't sound right to me. As he's walking slowly through the water, when he jumped through the water, it just didn't sound natural. It didn't sound like natural jumping into the water or walking through water. It sounded a little dramatic, but I guess for that scene, it kind of works because, you know, they had been through so much, they finally find land, and they just want to slow it down for that extra dramatic push. But I just wanted to put the clip in anyways to kind of show you what it sounded like. So I'm just going to click on the link. Okay, and it starts at 2:35, so we're going to move ahead a little bit. Here it comes. So, as you can see, the water sounded a little bit weird as Christopher Columbus was walking through it. But like I said, I guess for that extra dramatic push, you know, they just found land, it's really exciting, it's a great time for them. It makes sense to like add that emotional aspect of slowly walking through the water and slowing down him jumping into the water. I totally agree with that part. I just think that it could have sounded a little bit more natural to me. So moving on to the conclusion of both films. As you can see, both films kind of struggled in both aspects a little bit. They didn't really meet the standards orally, um, in the case of being accurate. When it came down to it, visually, both films excelled over orally. Visually, I think that there wasn't really that many discrepancies as there was orally, but I do think that the Discovery prevailed. It did a better job at portraying things than the Conquest did. I just wanted to note that both films did remain consistent with the theme of religion. So with that being said, I just wanted to end with a quote by Christopher Columbus that kind of shows his passion for religion. "I am a most noteworthy sinner, but I have cried out to the Lord for grace and mercy, and they have covered me completely. I have found the sweetest consolation since I made it in my whole purpose to enjoy his marvelous presence." That was a quote by Christopher Columbus, and I think that is the perfect quote to show his passion for religion. Um, Even though maybe the films didn't do so well at showing that, but there's only so much you can do within a 2 hour span. So I just wanted to kind of tie that at the end, how both films, even though they struggled differently, they had their weaknesses and their strengths, at the end they still had a consistent theme of religion. Thank you.